Right now, as you watch this, someone in your life is managing your perception. Not with force, not with threats, with something far more effective, your own emotions. And the reason you haven't noticed? Because the most successful manipulation doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels like love, like loyalty, like guilt, like your own idea. 99% of people will live their entire lives being mentally manipulated and never once realize it. Not because they're stupid, but because the system was designed to be invisible. 5 mechanisms. 9 minutes. After this, you'll see every interaction differently. Permanently. Mechanism 1, the emotional debt system. This is the most common manipulation tool on earth, and you've been trapped by it since childhood. Someone does something nice for you. They help you move. They lend you money. They listen to your problems at 2 a.m. They show up when nobody else does. And now, without any contract being signed, you owe them. Not legally. Emotionally. That emotional debt sits in your subconscious like an unpaid invoice, and the manipulator knows exactly when to collect. After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me? I was there for you when nobody else was, and now you can't even do this one thing? Remember when I helped you? I never asked for anything, but now I need you. Robert Cialdini documented this as the reciprocity principle, one of the 6 universal principles of influence. His research found that humans feel psychologically compelled to repay favors, even when the original favor was unsolicited and the requested repayment is disproportionately larger. Here's why this is so dangerous. The manipulator's original kindness wasn't generosity. It was an investment. Every favor was a deposit into an emotional bank account they planned to drain the moment they needed leverage. And here's the part that should make your stomach turn. Think about the most controlling person in your life. Wasn't their control always preceded by a period of extraordinary generosity? Didn't their demands always start with, "After everything I've done"? That generosity wasn't love. It was leverage being installed. You've been making payments on emotional debts you never agreed to take on. And the reason you can't escape this mechanism is explained by Mechanism 2. Mechanism 2, identity anchoring. This is the mechanism that makes you manipulate yourself, so the manipulator doesn't even have to. It works like this. Someone assigns you a role, the responsible one, the strong one, the loyal one, the one who never gives up, the one who always forgives. And that role feels good. It becomes part of how you see yourself. Your identity anchors to it. Now the manipulator uses your own identity against you. You're not the kind of person who gives up on people. The person I fell in love with would never walk away. I thought you were loyal, I guess I was wrong. They're not making an argument. They're triggering an identity crisis. Because the moment you consider leaving, setting a boundary, or standing up for yourself, your own brain fights you. It says, "But that's not who I am. I'm the strong one. I'm the loyal one. I don't quit." Psychologist Claude Steele's research on self-concept maintenance found that humans will endure extraordinary suffering to maintain consistency with their self-image. We would rather be destroyed than be inconsistent. The manipulator knows this. They don't need to chain you to the relationship. They just need to chain you to an identity, and the identity does the rest. Think about it right now. Is there a relationship in your life that you know is damaging you, but leaving feels like betraying who you are? That feeling isn't integrity. It's an anchor installed by someone who benefits from your inability to leave. And the reason this anchor holds so firmly is because of Mechanism 3, the one that rewires your perception of normal. Mechanism 3, baseline shifting. This is the most invisible mechanism on this list, and it's the reason 99% of people never escape. Imagine a frog in a pot of water. If you throw it into boiling water, it jumps out immediately. But if you place it in cold water and raise the temperature 1 degree at a time, it never jumps. It adjusts. It normalizes. It adapts to each new temperature until the water kills it. Your psychological baseline works identically. The first time they raised their voice, you were shocked. The second time, you were uncomfortable. The 10th time, you barely noticed. The 100th time, it felt normal. Your baseline shifted. What once would have made you leave now makes you shrug. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation, the brain's tendency to return to a baseline level of emotional response regardless of circumstances. It's the same mechanism that makes lottery winners return to their pre-winning happiness level within months. Your brain normalizes everything, including abuse. The manipulator doesn't start with the worst behavior. They start with something barely noticeable. A slightly dismissive comment. A minor boundary violation. A small lie. Each one shifts your baseline by 1 degree. And each shift makes the next violation feel proportionally smaller. By the time the behavior reaches levels that would horrify an outsider, you've adjusted. You defend it. You minimize it. You say things like, "It's not that bad," or "You don't understand the whole situation," or "They're not always like this." Those sentences are not your honest assessment. They are evidence that your baseline has been shifted so far from normal that you can no longer see normal from where you're standing. And here's the question that should terrify you. What if your current relationship baseline is already so shifted that you've lost the ability to recognize what healthy actually looks like? You can't answer that question alone, because the shifted baseline is the lens you're looking through. You need an outside perspective, which is exactly what Mechanism 4 is designed to prevent. Mechanism 4, Information Architecture. The manipulator doesn't control you directly. They control your information environment, and your information environment controls you. They don't say, "Stop talking to your friends." They say, "Your friends don't understand us." They don't say, "Don't read that." They say, "That doesn't apply to our situation." They don't say, "Don't trust anyone else." They say, "I'm the only one who really knows you." One by one, every alternative source of information, perspective, and reality checking is removed. Not violently, conversationally. And what remains is a single source of truth: them. Robert Lifton studied this as milieu control, total control over an individual's informational environment. His research on thought reform found that this single mechanism, controlling what someone hears, reads, discusses, and considers, is sufficient to fundamentally alter their beliefs without any physical coercion. The modern version of this extends far beyond personal relationships. Your social media feed is an information architecture designed by algorithms that show you what keeps you engaged, not what's true. Your workplace culture is an information architecture designed to make company values feel like your values. Your political information environment is an architecture designed to make one side's perspective feel like objective reality. You are always inside someone's information architecture. The question isn't whether your information is being curated, it's by whom, and for whose benefit. The manipulator in your personal life is doing the same thing Instagram's algorithm does, controlling the inputs so they can predict and control the outputs. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your decisions. And Mechanism 5 explains why even when people finally see the manipulation, they still can't escape. Mechanism 5, the sunk cost emotional prison. This is the final lock. The one that keeps people inside manipulation even after they've recognized it. You've invested years. You've sacrificed friendships. You've restructured your entire life around this person. You've given them your trust, your vulnerability, your best years, your emotional bandwidth. Everything. And now, even though you can see the manipulation, leaving means admitting that all of it was wasted. Every sacrifice, every compromise, every tear, every sleepless night, every time you defended them to someone who was trying to save you. All of it, for nothing. That admission is more painful than staying. So you stay. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky documented this as the sunk cost fallacy, the most powerful cognitive bias in human decision-making. Their research proved that humans consistently make irrational decisions to protect past investments, even when continuing the investment guarantees further loss. The manipulator doesn't need to keep you trapped anymore. Your own brain does it for them. Your sunk costs become the bars. Your identity becomes the lock. Your shifted baseline becomes the walls. And your controlled information environment becomes the blindfold. You built your own prison. The manipulator just handed you the bricks, one at a time, over months or years, and you stacked them yourself because each individual brick seemed too small to matter. And this is exactly why 99% of people never escape. Not because the manipulation is too sophisticated to detect. It's not. Anyone watching this video can understand every mechanism I've described. People don't escape because escaping requires three things simultaneously: seeing the manipulation, accepting the sunk cost loss, and rebuilding an identity that was constructed by someone else. Each of these alone is painful. All three together feel impossible. But here's the truth the manipulator prays you never discover. The years you've invested are gone whether you stay or leave. The sunk cost is paid either way. The only question is, do you continue paying? Or do you stop the bleeding today? Every day you stay inside a manipulated reality is another brick on the wall. Every day you remain is another deposit into an emotional debt you don't owe. Every day you tolerate is another degree of baseline shift away from the person you were before they got to you. That person is still in there. Underneath the shifted baseline. Behind the controlled information. Buried under the emotional debts and the anchored identity in the sunk cost prison. That person has been trying to reach you this entire time. Every uncomfortable feeling you've suppressed. Every moment of doubt you've dismissed. Every time you thought something isn't right, and then immediately told yourself you were overreacting. That wasn't overreacting. That was your real self, screaming through the walls of a prison you didn't know you were in. Listen to that voice. It's the only one that was never manipulated. Because it's yours. 5 mechanisms. Emotional debt creates invisible leverage. Identity anchoring makes you imprison yourself. Baseline shifting makes abuse feel normal. Information architecture removes every outside perspective. And the sunk cost prison keeps you trapped even after you can see the bars. 99% of people never escape, not because they can't see it but because seeing it isn't enough. Escaping requires accepting the loss, rebuilding the identity, and trusting your own mind again after someone spent years teaching you not to. That process is painful. But it's the only path that leads out. If this video reached the part of you that's been buried under someone else's version of who you are, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to keep seeing what manipulation hides in plain sight. And share this with someone who needs to hear, the voice they've been suppressing is the only one worth listening to. See you in the next one.